With the Abattoir of Zir releasing tomorrow, we all need to take some time to figure out how we're going to maximize the Tears of Blood. The live stream happened over the weekend and showcased a tier 10 run on Abattoir of Zir, and one thing that we could take away from this run and the live stream is that damage is going to be the #1 consideration for not only how you need to use the Tears of Blood glyph, but also how you're setting up your character to succeed in Abattoir of Zir. So if the monster levels are not scaling as hard as we originally thought, we don't need as much armor, the mobs don't look to be hitting much harder in the upper tiers as we first considered, we know that the focus is not going to be on defense, but rather damage. Greetings Internet, DDA here, and before we get started on the meat of this guide video, I just want to take a second to talk about how we're going to maximize the damage of our Tears of Blood glyph. Now we know we're going to want to maximize the damage, but how are we going to do that? This guide is speaking from my experience with the Sorcerer, using Ball Lightning and Fireball builds. Those are the two builds that I've been using this season. So I haven't played that much Ice, but I did include Ice in the considerations for this guide. So if you're an Ice Sorceress, which I actually think Ice may end up being the strongest build that we have in the Abattoir because you can CC everything. So if you're an Ice Sorceress, then certainly this guide is also for you. So there's going to be 3 main considerations that we're going to have to maximize the damage that the Tears of Blood glyph is giving us. And that is going to be maximizing the rare nodes that the percentage increase of the Tears of Blood is giving us. So that's a huge increase. It's actually more than tripling the power of the rare nodes, so we know we're going to want to maximize that. That's huge for us. Second and most obvious, in my opinion, will be actually getting the core stats. It's like I said, it's really obvious. Like, we know we're going to want to get all those core stats around. So the question is, well, what board has the most core stats? And the third consideration, which is not to be overstated, is how much of our main core stat are we getting from that board? The Tears of Blood is kind of forcing us into getting all the core stat nodes around the glyph. So if there's one particular board that has a large number of intelligence, more so than the other boards, well, then we're kind of doubling down on the damage that it's giving us. Not only are we getting the damage from the Tears of Blood glyph, but we're also getting extra damage, extra multiplicative damage from our main core stat, intelligence. Those are the 3 considerations I had when I was kind of determining which board I think are the best for this glyph. So as we move forward, I'll kind of reference back to those. So the first thing I want to do before we talk about what boards you should be using is I want to discount a few boards. Because of our first point that we know the Tears of Blood glyph is capping out at 3.5 times the power of any rare node that it is affecting, that's huge for us. And the rare nodes are some of the most powerful bonuses that we can get from the board. So just based on that alone, we can discredit some boards. The first board I just want to take off the list is the Static Surge board. That board, it would give you damage to stunned and lightning resistance. So damage to stunned is not terrible, but lightning resistance, we don't need all that extra resistance. So it's basically like it's like 25% efficacy of the Tears of Blood glyph if you would put it in the Static Surge board. So we're just going to discount that one. Next up, Searing Heat. We're going to discount this one as well. Again, fire resistance. We don't need all that extra fire resistance. Fire damage is okay if you're a fire build, but the fire resistance, we don't need 3.5 times more fire resistance. Just not needed. So we can better use the Tears of Blood glyph than that board. Elemental Summoner, same for this one as well. Conjuration, skill damage, and Resist All. Resist All is not bad. It could be useful. But Conjuration skill damage, additive damage to our Conjuration skills. Conjuration skills do almost no damage. It's just not needed to 3.5 times that node. So not really a lot of bang for your buck there. So discredit that board. Next up, Frigid Fate. We're going to take this off the list as well. Vulnerable damage is great, but cold resistance. You know, having the power of the 3.5 times on your rare nodes, we don't need all that cold resistance. There are better uses for the Tears of Blood glyph that we can figure out. And for the last board that we're discounting from this list of boards that we should use with Tears of Blood, Ceaseless Conduit, same thing here. You got the lightning damage, but lightning resistance. Don't really need the lightning resistance, so there's no reason to put the glyph here. of our possible boards that we could consider to use with the Tears of Blood glyph, we're going to start out here with the base board. It would look something like this if you would have the Tears of Blood glyph on there, taking all the core stats, of course. And at the end, when it's all said and done, if you add up the core stats that you're getting from the base board, it's only about 25 core stat nodes. And from my analysis, that's actually the smallest number of core stat nodes that you can get from all the other boards that we're probably going to want to use this glyph on. It's also worth noting that of those 25 nodes, you get 70 intelligence from that. That's worthy to note there, but like I said, the base board actually has the smallest number of core stat nodes, so this is not going to be our best choice to maximize our damage. There are better options than the base board for the Sorceress. If you've been counting the boards that we discounted and then saying that we're probably not going to put the glyph on the base board, we only have 3 boards left, so we're running out of boards, but luckily for us, these 3 boards are very, very strong. Starting out here with the Enchantment Master board. A lot of people call this the Heart of the Sorcerer, and that's also shown here. Of course, this is going to be one of the boards that we consider putting the Tears of Blood glyph on. So of the next 3 boards, the Enchantment Master board actually has the 3rd lowest number of core stat nodes. The next 3, so it has a total of 28 core stat nodes, normal nodes, and then the 4 magic nodes, making it a total of, 32 nodes in total that you can get for core stats. So this board is going to be a viable option for you. It is definitely not the strongest. I just want to make some considerations. So of the 3 boards that we have left, your Enchantment Master board is going to be your most kind of general option for you. So if you were using multiple types of elemental damage, this one would be good because you have the non-physical damage node that you're timesing by 3.5. So that's great, you know, if you're using multiple types of damage. Really strong there. It's also, the other thing I want to note with this board, it's also giving you the extra resist all. So this Tears of Blood glyph is going to demand a lot of points from your board. A lot of people are used to getting 6 or 7 boards out of their Paragon board for, so far. But when we get the Tears of Blood, it's going to require us to put a lot of points in here. 30 to 40 points are going to all be focused here on this board. Because we're getting so much extra resist all from the Tears of Blood in the Enchantment Master board, that would free us up to take some resist all off of other areas of the Paragon board. So for example, if you wanted to cut off this leg here of the base board, now granted we would be losing a lot of maximum life. You would lose 8% maximum life by reducing these, but it would be what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points that we would save. So, and like I said, there's going to be less of a focus of defense in the Abattoir of Zir just because, if you're stacking defense to the 9s, the monsters just aren't scaling to the level that we first thought. Considering the tiers of Abattoir of Zir, you could get away with this potentially. And freeing up those 7 points, so you are making sure you're hitting your 6 boards, making sure you're hitting your resistance cap. So that's an option to use the Enchantment Master board, and if you're going to use the Enchantment Master board for the Tears of Blood glyph, I would say that you want to be really aware of where you're getting resist all, how far you are above the resist all cap, and you just want to kind of use the Enchantment Master board to really maximize and maybe squeak in that 6th board while also maximizing your Tears of Blood. So the next board, and what I'm actually considering the strongest board to put the Tears of Blood glyph in, is going to be your Burning Instinct board. This board is so strong for the Tears of Blood glyph. It has the most core stat nodes that you can have, either 29 or 30 core stat nodes, just base nodes, and then you got the 4 magic nodes as well. And the reason I say 29 or 30 is because you kind of got these 2 nodes that are hanging. This willpower here is kind of hanging, so you have to spend a little bit of extra points to go up and around to grab it quick. And then you have this 1 intelligence node that is again hanging over here. But if you're going into this amazing safeguard node in your Burning Instinct, you actually make use of this right here. So that's more incentive for you to come and grab this safeguard node here, being that you want to grab this extra intelligence for the Tears of Blood. But this Burning Instinct board is so amazing. Again, 30 core stat base nodes and then the 4 magic nodes, giving you 34 core stat nodes that you can get in this board, and then additionally, you're getting a massive increase. Look at that damage reduction from burning. Look at that. 34.9% damage reduction from burning. That is insane. That is insane. And now I know that I said in the beginning that you're not going to need that much defense, but the point is, with this glyph is like what it's giving you and then how you can adjust your build based on it. So if you're getting 35% damage reduction from burning from your Paragon board alone, maybe you can free up some slots on your amulet. Maybe you can change an aspect to damage. You know, all these things we're going to have to adjust on the fly. And of course, the mobs are going to hit harder as you move up in tiers. It's just not as hard as we originally thought. So this could just be great, just innately, to take you all the way to tier 25. Huge damage reduction from burning increase here. So this is where I'm going to be putting my Tears of Blood glyph. And this is going to be applicable for your ball lightning builds that use the Firebolt enchantment. And then any fire build that has burning or anything that uses the Firebolt enchantment. And then likewise, you're getting an increase to damage to burning enemies. So, and then when it's all said and done, not only are you getting the 34 core stat nodes, but you're also getting 80 intelligence, which is the most intelligence out of any Tears of Blood placement out of any board. So not only are you getting the most core stat nodes, but you're also getting the most intelligence. So #1 board for me, Burning Instinct. Now, don't think if I forgot about you if you're an Ice Sorceress. I haven't played Ice this season yet, but I think Ice has the potential to be the strongest build in Abattoir of Zir for the simple fact that we can CC everything, including the end bosses. That means you can freeze everything. You can make use of the control glyph. All right, that is a huge consideration. And for Ice builds out there, utilizing the control glyph throughout the whole dungeon, utilizing that 20% extra multiplicative damage, huge. So don't think I forgot about you, Ice builds, because the Icefall board is so amazing for the Tears of Blood glyph, stronger than the Enchantment Master board. This board has 29 base core stat nodes and then the 4 magic nodes as well, and then it additionally is giving you 70 intelligence when you pick up all those nodes. And then just as comparable to the Burning Instinct board, you're getting a huge, look at that, damage reduction from chilled enemies. 42% damage reduction from chilled enemies. What am I, injured? Holy jeez. Like 42% damage reduction from chilled enemies. Frost Sorcs are going to be at the top of their game in this Abattoir. I'm telling you. Once you really get in that control glyph and you maximize your Tears of Blood, yeah, you're going to be getting it. Huge damage increase to chilled enemies there. Massive damage increase to chilled enemies. So the Icefall board, #1 for Ice Sorcs, 100%. So I know that Max Roll kind of put the Ice Sorcs a little bit low on the tier list. Ball Lightning is of course #1. I think that Ice, there may be an A+/S Ice build that just freezes everything and just has so many multiplicative damages bonuses from both the Tears of Blood and the control glyph. I think it's going to be up there. Maybe not exactly where Ball Lightning is, but comparable. So there you have it. Your Tears of Blood tier list for the Sorcerer. #1 board is your Burning Instinct board, giving you 30 core stat base nodes and 4 core stat magic nodes and 80 intelligence, a massive boost to your damage reduction and damage. That is absolutely the #1 board. Second up would be Icefall, giving you 29 core stat nodes base and then the 4 magic, giving you 70 intelligence, as well as the insanely large damage reduction from chilled enemies and damage to chilled enemies. And then the third board for your consideration would be the Enchantment Master board, giving you a massive boost to your resist all, allowing you to remove other points from other places in your board, and then shifting those points into maximizing your Tears of Blood glyph a lot easier, or potentially activating an additional glyph. And then likewise giving you the great boost to the non-physical damage nodes. So if you happen to use more than one element of damage, that would be a great node for you to use. So thank you for joining me in your preparation for Abattoir of Zir. Please hit that like button if you like this video, and subscribe to Random Number Gaming for your one-stop shop to all the best guides in Diablo 4.